You know, there's this very specific moment that a lot of dog owners experience. You're just sitting on the couch, maybe watching TV.
Right, just a normal evening.
Exactly, a totally normal evening. And you're scratching your dog's chin exactly like you've done 1,000 times before.
Yeah.
But this time, the light hits them just right, and you suddenly notice that their muzzle has gone completely gray.
Oh, yeah. It really sneaks up on you.
It does. You're just like, wait, when did that happen? It's a really jarring moment.
It definitely is.
But what if I told you that the gray muzzle isn't just this sweet, nostalgic sign to slow down a bit? It's actually a biological alarm bell.
A huge alarm bell, actually.
Right, an alarm bell telling you to completely change how you manage their life.
Because it really is. I mean, it's not like they send you a calendar invite for their transition into old age.
If only they did.
Right. That would be nice. But the shift, it actually happens on a cellular level long before you ever see those first gray hairs.
Wow.
And if you wait for some big, dramatic medical diagnosis to change your daily care routine, you've honestly waited way too long.
Which brings us directly to the mission for today's deep dive.
Yes, absolutely.
So we are looking at this stack of incredibly insightful source materials focused on the health and the daily care of senior Cavalier King Charles Spaniels.
And there is so much to cover here.
There really is. So whether you share your home with a Cavalier right now, or maybe you're considering the breed, or honestly, even if you just want to understand the actual biological mechanics of how the animals we love age.
Because it applies to so many breeds, really.
Exactly. We are going to extract the most crucial practical knowledge you need. We'll basically give you a shortcut to navigating a dog's golden years without feeling totally overwhelmed by the medical jargon.
Because it can get very overwhelming very fast.
Oh, for sure. Okay, let's unpack this. Because we easily accept that bodies age, but nobody really tells you when adulthood officially becomes seniorhood, Like, where do we actually draw the line?
Well, I think we have to start by setting the stage with their actual biological timeline.
Okay.
Aging in this breed, or really any breed, like we said, it isn't a sudden traumatic event.
Right, a switch doesn't just flip.
Exactly. A switch doesn't flip on their birthday. But generally speaking, veterinarians and researchers consider a Cavalier to be entering their senior years right around 8 to 10 years of age.
8 to 10 years. Okay, I want to push back a little on how we usually frame this word senior, though.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, when people hear senior, I think they immediately assume it means the dog is simply declining.
Ah, yes, the downward slope assumption.
Right, like they've peaked, and now it's just this inevitable downward slope of illness. But reading through this material, I realized aging isn't a cliff you fall off.
It's really not.
It's more like shifting into a lower gear. I mean, they aren't stopping, they're just cruising at a different speed.
I love that analogy. And what's fascinating here is how the biology completely backs up your lower gear analogy.
Really? How so?
Well, aging itself is not a disease. That's a huge misconception. It is simply a shift in metabolic and cellular function.
Okay, so just a functional shift.
Right. So at 8 to 10 years old, a Cavalier's cells are simply dividing a little slower.
Got it.
The cartilage in their joints, for example, it starts to lose some of its hydration, making it slightly less pliable.
So they get a bit stiffer.
Exactly. But a lot of owners assume that a sleeping, slower dog is a sick dog, and that's a really dangerous assumption.
Because they're not necessarily sick at all.
Right. Many Cavaliers remain just as affectionate and genuinely engaged with life well into their mid-teens.
They just might not want to chase a tennis ball for an hour straight anymore.
Exactly. The distinction the sources make is looking at the trajectory.
The trajectory, okay.
Yeah, so a slow shift into a lower gear over a period of months, that is totally fine.
Right.
But the transmission suddenly dropping out of the car overnight, that is when you have a real problem.
So the timeline of the change is what's critical.
Precisely. If they are, gradually taking longer to get up from their bed over the course of a year, that's just the dehydration of the cartilage we just talked about.
Just the normal aging stuff.
Right. But if they suddenly refuse to put weight on a leg on a random Tuesday morning, that is an acute injury or severe pathology.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So, since we know the cartilage is changing and they are shifting into this lower gear, we obviously have to adjust their physical routine.
Absolutely.
And the sources highlight a massive, yet entirely well-intentioned mistake that owners make regarding exercise.
Yes, I see this all the time.
You see your dog moving slower,
Yeah.
so you decide to protect them by just stopping their walks.
And biologically speaking, stopping those walks is catastrophic.
Catastrophic, that's a strong word.
I mean it. If you reduce their activity too aggressively, you trigger a rapid downward cycle.
Walk me through that. What is the cycle?
Let's look at the mechanics. Muscle acts as a shock absorber for the entire skeletal system.
Okay.
When you stop walking a senior dog, they rapidly lose muscle mass.
Because they aren't using it.
Right. And without that thick muscle stabilizing the leg, every single step sends the full force of the impact directly into those slightly dehydrated, aging joints.
Oh, wow. So the joint takes all the punishment.
Every bit of it, which causes inflammation.
Which causes pain.
Exactly. Which makes the dog want to move even less.
Ah, so they lose more muscle.
You got it. They lose more muscle, the joints get less support, and the cycle accelerates.
That is awful.
It is. Movement is actually what keeps the synovial fluid, the natural lubricant, in their joints circulating.
Like oil in a car.
Perfect comparison. Without movement, the joints literally dry up and freeze.
So by trying to protect them from getting tired, you are actively accelerating their physical decline.
Sadly, yes.
Okay, so we need to keep the engine running, but obviously we can't push them like a puppy. The actionable takeaway here seems to be shifting the format of the exercise.
Exactly, adapting to the new gear.
Right. So instead of a single, grueling 2-mile hike, you break it up. You transition to maybe 3 gentle 15-minute walks throughout the day.
That is the perfect approach. The goal is no longer building cardiovascular fitness.
Right. We aren't training them for a marathon.
No, not at all. It is strictly about maintaining muscle tone to protect the skeleton. You are maintaining their structural integrity.
Okay. That is a huge perspective shift.
It is, and that requires consistent, low-impact movement tailored to exactly what the individual dog can handle that specific day.
And if we're changing how they move, we are fundamentally changing how they burn calories, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So their fuel intake has to match this new, slower metabolism, or we run into a whole new set of mechanical problems.
A cascade of problems. The metabolic rate of a senior dog drops noticeably.
Noticeably.
Yes. If you keep feeding them the exact same portion you fed them at age 4, they will inevitably gain fat while losing muscle.
Which is the worst combination.
It is. Maintaining a lean body condition is vital because, and a lot of people don't know this, extra fat isn't just inert tissue, it is highly inflammatory.
Wait, really? The fat itself causes inflammation?
Yes. It's not just extra weight to carry, it actually secretes hormones that increase inflammation throughout the entire body.
Oh, wow.
So that extra fat is actively exacerbating their joint pain.
That is crazy. Plus, I mean, any extra weight is just like carrying a heavy backpack around all day.
Exactly.
It puts so much unnecessary strain on an aging cardiovascular system. But beyond just the calories, I really want to bring up something from the research that I found completely overlooked by most people.
The dental connection.
Yes, the connection between their fuel intake and their dental health.
It's so critical. The teeth are literally the gateway to the rest of the body.
Right, because we tend to think of dog breath as just a gross annoyance, like, oh, their breath stinks.
Oh, it's so much more than that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The gums are a highly vascular superhighway. If a senior dog has untreated periodontal disease, it's not just that their teeth hurt.
Though that is incredibly painful and will definitely make them stop eating.
Right, which affects their nutrition. But it's that the plaque on their teeth is basically just full of bacteria.
Millions of bacteria. And every single time they chew, that bacteria is being pressed directly into their bloodstream through those inflamed gums.
That is so gross, but so important to understand.
It is. And once it's in the blood, it travels straight to the major organs. It filters right through the kidneys.
And crucially for the Cavalier, right?
Yes. It washes directly over the valves of the heart.
Wow.
Consistent dental care is quite literally infection control for the entire internal system.
Which brings up a really tough challenge for the owner, honestly.
Because the dogs don't complain.
Exactly. If a dog has a rotting tooth, or if their joints are just screaming because they've lost muscle mass, they don't tell us.
No, they don't.
I struggle with this because, in the wild, showing pain is basically a dinner bell for predators.
It's a massive vulnerability.
Right. Their biology is explicitly designed to lie to you about how much they hurt.
Well, they are masters of masking pain.
So if my dog is just lying around, I naturally assume he's just tired.
Oh.
How am I supposed to know the difference between a tired dog and a dog that is masking severe pain?
It's a great question. You essentially have to become an expert in their micro behaviors.
Micro behaviors, okay.
You are completely correct about the predator-prey dynamic. Whimpering or limping, those are signs of catastrophic, undeniable pain.
Right, that's when they can't hide it anymore.
Exactly. For everyday chronic pain, you have to look at how they compensate mechanically.
Like what am I looking for?
Do they hesitate for just a second before jumping onto a couch they used to launch onto?
Oh, that's subtle.
It is. When they stand, are they shifting their weight slightly forward to take the load off their back hips? Are they licking a specific joint repeatedly?
Wait, licking. Because licking releases endorphins, right?
Exactly. It releases endorphins to artificially soothe the aching area.
Wow. I never put that together.
Yeah. Or you might just notice a generalized stiffness right after they've been resting, or a subtle change in their overall posture.
Like how they stand.
Right. A dog with back pain often stands with a slightly roached or curved spine to protect the nerves.
Okay, so recognizing these physical cues requires an incredibly intimate familiarity with your dog's baseline.
It does. It requires you to really pay attention.
It's a heavy responsibility to be that observant.
Yeah.
And it's not just their bodies we have to monitor, right?
Not at all.
The source material dives deep into how their minds and their senses age. I think we accept that physical bodies break down, but what does cognitive decline actually look like in a spaniel?
Well, brain aging in dogs actually shares some mechanical similarities with human cognitive decline.
Like dementia.
Essentially, yes. You have oxidative stress damaging neural pathways over time.
Okay.
You might see altered sleep-wake cycles, where they inexplicably pace at night and sleep all day.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah. Or they might just show a completely reduced interest in toys or interactions they used to absolutely love.
But just like we use movement to lubricate the joints, the research emphasizes that we have to actively stimulate the brain to preserve it.
Use it or lose it.
Right. Which usually involves utilizing their primary sense, which is their nose.
Scent work is incredibly powerful for a dog's brain.
How does that actually work mechanically?
Well, the olfactory bulb takes up a massive portion of their brain compared to ours, and it is directly wired into their memory and emotion centers.
Okay.
So when you hide a treat and force them to sniff it out, you are forcing multiple areas of the brain to communicate simultaneously.
Like a brain puzzle.
Exactly. This stimulates neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to form new connections.
Oh, that's
That
fascinating.
it builds a cognitive reserve that actually helps offset the physical degradation of the brain tissue.
That makes total sense.
Hmm.
But there's a crucial line between normal aging and pathological decline that owners really need to be able to spot.
A very important line, yes.
It's the difference between my dog taking a second longer to learn a new trick versus my dog suddenly getting trapped behind a door because he literally forgot he can just walk backwards.
Yes. You're looking at spatial memory and ingrained routines there.
Right.
A bit more napping is normal. But if your dog suddenly forgets where their water bowl had been for the last 5 years, or they go to the wrong side of the door to be let out, that is a failure in spatial mapping.
Which is a big deal.
It is a significant red flag that requires veterinary intervention. It's not just an assumption that, oh, they're just getting old.
Right. You can't just brush that off.
Yeah.
And their literal physical view of the world is changing at the exact same time, which doesn't help.
The sensory changes, yeah.
The sources point out sensory adaptations,
Mm.
like cloudy eyes. And it's important to clarify from the reading that a cloudy eye isn't always a blinding cataract.
That's a huge misconception.
Right. Often it's something called lenticular sclerosis,
Yes, lenticular sclerosis.
which is just a normal hardening of the lens that makes things look a bit hazy, but they can actually still see.
Mostly, yes. But their vision is compromised. And their hearing diminishes too, often losing the higher frequencies first.
So they can't hear the squeaky toy or maybe your voice.
Right. These sensory changes can make a dog highly anxious because their early warning systems, their eyes and ears, are basically failing them.
That sounds terrifying for them.
It is, but the biological fix for this isn't medical, it's environmental. You have to keep their world predictable.
Meaning, do not suddenly rearrange the living room furniture.
Please don't. You want to rely on their muscle memory. If the couch is where it has always been, a dog with failing vision can navigate that room perfectly.
Because they just know the layout by heart.
Exactly. And if their hearing is going, you have to be super mindful of their startle reflex.
Because they don't hear you coming.
Right. If a dog can't hear you approach and you suddenly touch them while they're sleeping, their nervous system perceives that as a potential threat.
Because they woke up to a predator touching them, basically.
Exactly. So always step heavily so they feel the vibrations in the floor, or just let them see your shadow before you make physical contact.
Oh, that is such a good practical tip. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
We've talked about the joints, the teeth, the brain, and the senses. But if we are talking about the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel specifically, we have to talk about their biggest genetic vulnerability,
The heart.
the heart.
This is the thread that runs through the entire life of a Cavalier, but it reaches a critical inflection point in their senior years.
Because mitral valve disease is just incredibly prevalent in this breed.
Sadly, it's almost ubiquitous.
Let's break down the mechanics of that, because the source lists at-home signs to watch for, like a persistent cough. But I was reading that and thinking, why does a failing heart make a dog cough? It seems like those are two completely different systems.
It's a great question, and it actually all comes down to fluid dynamics.
Okay, lay it on me.
So the mitral valve separates the chambers on the left side of the heart.
Right on.
In many Cavaliers, as they age, that specific valve degenerates and stops sealing tightly when the heart pumps.
So it doesn't close all the way.
Exactly. So when the heart pumps, instead of all the blood going forward to the body like it should, some of it leaks backward into the atrium.
Like a leaky gasket in a pipe.
That is the perfect analogy. This backward flow increases the pressure inside the heart.
Okay.
Eventually, that pressure gets so high that it literally pushes fluid backward into the blood vessels of the lungs.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The fluid seeps into the lung tissue itself, a condition called pulmonary edema.
And that's where the cough comes from?
Precisely. The dog coughs because their lungs are literally trying to clear fluid that shouldn't be there.
That is terrifying, but it makes so much sense mechanically. So a soft, persistent cough, especially after they've been resting or at night, isn't just a tickle in their throat.
Not at all.
It's a sign of fluid buildup in the lungs.
Yes, it is a major warning sign.
The sources also mention reduced stamina or unusual rapid breathing while they are fast asleep.
Because their body is actively struggling to oxygenate the blood due to that fluid in the lungs.
Ah, I see.
Monitoring their resting respiratory rate, which is just how many breaths they take per minute while completely asleep, is honestly one of the most powerful tools an owner has.
Really? Just counting their breaths.
Yes. If that rate starts creeping up over time, say from 15 to 25 breaths a minute, the heart is working harder.
Which means you need to call the vet.
Immediately.
Right. But if we are relying on catching a failing valve or a struggling organ before we can visibly see the damage in the room, it makes me wonder how we handle the medical management of all this. Like, the whole protocol completely changes at this age.
It really does. Senior wellness exams shift from an annual event to a mandatory 6-month cadence.
Every 6 months.
Minimum. And it's not just a physical once-over. The core of these visits is comprehensive laboratory blood work.
But why are we pulling blood every 6 months if the dog is acting completely fine? It seems like overkill.
It seems like it, but it's because of something called organ reserve capacity.
Organ reserve capacity. What is that?
Take the kidneys, for example. A dog's kidneys are so efficient that they can lose up to 70% of their functional capacity before the dog ever shows a single outward symptom.
Wait, 70%?
Yes, 70% destroyed before you see them drinking more water or losing weight.
That is insane.
By the time you actually see the illness in your living room, the organ is already failing past the point of no return.
Oh, wow. So the blood work catches it early.
Exactly. Blood work acts as an early warning radar. It catches the subtle shifts in kidney enzymes when they are only at, say, a 40% loss.
Which gives you the runway to actually do something about it.
Exactly. You can change their diet, add a supplement, and crucially, protect the remaining 60% of the organ.
That makes total sense.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where tracking becomes so essential.
Right, keeping records.
Yeah. The source material mentions tools like the VitalPet app, which are fantastic for the administrative side of things.
Like logging when you gave the heart medication.
Exactly. Logging meds, tracking those resting breathing rates we talked about, and just keeping calendar reminders for the 6-month blood work.
But the app isn't a doctor.
No, an app is just a database. It cannot listen to a heart murmur or feel a swollen lymph node. Technology manages the schedule, but a human veterinarian manages the biology.
Okay, so that handles the invisible internal changes. The heart, the kidneys, all of that. But what about the physical wear and tear we can actually see in their daily environment?
The household setup.
Right. I love this concept in the source material of frictionless living.
It's a great term.
We talked about not moving the couch to help their vision, but we also have to look at the biomechanics of their daily routine.
Yes. You really have to audit your house from the perspective of an arthritic dog.
Okay, so what am I looking for?
Slippery hardwood or tile floors, they are a nightmare for senior dogs.
Because they slide around.
Yes. When a dog walks on a slick surface, their paw pads can't grip. So to keep from wiping out, they have to subconsciously tense every single stabilizing muscle in their hips and shoulders.
Oh, I never thought of that. So simply walking to the water bowl becomes this exhausting, high-tension workout.
Exactly. A workout that causes micro tears in their aging, already depleted muscles.
That is so sad. So how do we fix it?
It's easy. Putting down inexpensive non-slip runners or even yoga mats creates a high-traction highway through your home.
The runway to the important spots.
Yes, it instantly relieves that muscle tension. Similarly, providing ramps or pet stairs for the couch or the bed removes the explosive high-impact force required to jump.
You are literally engineering the friction out of their day.
You're saving their joints one jump at a time.
So what does this all mean? We've covered the mechanics of the joints, the plaque in the teeth, the neuroplasticity in the brain, the fluid dynamics of the heart, and the traction on the floor.
It's a lot of biology.
It is. But reading through these transcripts, there's this undeniable emotional through line that kind of transcends all the biology, specifically for the Cavalier breed.
Oh, it is arguably the most critical variable in their entire lifespan.
The companionship aspect.
Yes. Cavaliers were selectively bred over centuries for one primary function: to be deeply bonded companions.
Lapdogs.
Exactly. Their nervous systems are intricately tied to their owners, and that intense emotional connection does not fade as their bodies break down.
It actually seems like as their physical world shrinks, like their eyes get cloudy and their walks get shorter, that bond basically becomes their only anchor.
It absolutely does. And from a biological standpoint, companionship actually regulates their nervous system.
Really? Just being near you does that?
Yes. Physical touch and predictable routines literally lower their cortisol levels, which reduces systemic stress.
That is amazing.
So maintaining regular affection and just sharing space with them isn't just a nice, sweet thing to do. It actively creates a physiological state of calm that supports their aging immune system.
That is profound, truly. Let's bring all of this together because we've covered a massive amount of ground today regarding the reality of aging.
We really have.
If we look at the ultimate takeaways, the sources highlight a few major common mistakes owners make. First, we assume that slowing down means they're sick, rather than just aging naturally.
A huge mistake.
Second, we abruptly stop their exercise, which just destroys their joint stability.
Destroys it.
Third, we ignore dental care, allowing bacteria to attack their heart valves. And lastly, we write off subtle behavioral shifts as just getting old instead of actually reporting them to the vet.
Which perfectly leads us to the core philosophy of senior Cavalier care.
Which is?
Pay closer attention, not less.
Pay closer attention, not less.
Exactly. Growing older isn't a tragic story of decline that you just have to passively accept.
Right.
It is simply a new biological phase. It has a different rhythm, and it requires agility from you as the owner to adapt their environment and their medical care.
Pay closer attention, not less. I love that.
Yeah.
I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over that builds on everything we've just discussed today.
Oh, I'm curious.
So, the source material makes it abundantly clear that your intimate familiarity with your dog is the most powerful diagnostic tool on Earth.
Absolutely true.
You are the one who notices the slight shift in weight to protect a joint. You notice the spatial confusion at the back door.
Because no vet will ever know their daily baseline like you do.
Exactly. You are required to observe these incredibly subtle, quiet changes in your aging pet. You actually have to watch them with more focus than when they were a tiny puppy.
You really do.
But think about what that means for a second. How might that heightened state of daily observation actually deepen the bond you share?
Oh, that's a beautiful way to look at it.
Right. What if the intense, quiet attention required in a dog's senior years isn't just a medical chore? What if it is actually an opportunity to experience the most profoundly connected, intimate phase of your entire relationship?
When you look at it that way, managing their aging isn't a burden at all. It's a privilege.
It goes all the way back to that exact moment on the couch. You're scratching their chin, you see the gray muzzle, and instead of panicking, you realize we are entering a new chapter, and we know exactly how to handle it.
Perfectly said.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Keep learning, stay curious, and we'll catch you next time.